Breaking news. Putin says Russia supports an independent and robust Latin America. On Friday, Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, said that his country supports the prosperity and independence of Latin American nations. The president of Russia made these remarks at the opening ceremony of the first-ever International Parliamentary Conference, Russia, Latin America, where he expressed Moscow's willingness to develop bilateral cooperation with Latin American nations that traditionally share a very similar vision of international relations and aspire to a multipolar world order. We have always fought for a united and prosperous Latin America, and we will continue to do so in the future. We are ready to work closely with integration associations in the Latin American region and on a bilateral basis to achieve these goals, Putin said. The Russian leader brought up the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, ALBA, the Southern Common Market, Mercosur, and the Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, CELAC. He continued, "The history of your continent is full of the most striking examples of Latin Americans striving for independence." Putin also pointed out that the countries in the area have risen to prominence in the emerging multipolar world and are helping to shape a new system of international relations based on equality, justice, respect for international law, and each other's legitimate interests. In this new polycentric architecture, the states of Latin America will play one of the leading roles in the world, with their enormous economic potential and human resources and their desire to pursue a sovereign, independent foreign policy. There is absolutely no denying it, he affirmed. The president emphasized that relations between Russia and the countries of the region are developed on the basis of equal rights and mutual consideration of interests, and are friendly, constructive, and mutually beneficial. Russia's exports to Latin American countries have increased by 2.3 times in the last 5 years, and trade between the two regions as a whole has increased by 25%. More than 200 people, including legislators from Latin American and Caribbean countries, will be present at the event hosted by the State Duma, the lower house of the Russian parliament. The regional governor of western Ukraine's Vinnytsia claimed that a Russian attack on an infrastructure site occurred early on Saturday. After hearing reports of drone activity in the area, Serhiy Borzov made some remarks on Telegram. The term infrastructure is used by some Ukrainian government officials to describe power plants and other industrial facilities. To reaffirm referendums held last year that Western countries denounced as illegal, Vladimir Putin claimed that residents of Russian-held regions in Ukraine expressed their desire to be part of Russia in recent local elections. Russian President Vladimir Putin said in a video address released early on Saturday, the one-year anniversary of Moscow's announcement that it was annexing 4 parts of Ukraine, that this month's local elections that returned officials supporting Russia's annexation reinforced the choice to join Russia. Western nations disregarded the results as meaningless, claiming they were supported by voter intimidation. On Friday, the Kremlin held celebrations to mark the annexations, and flag-waving Russians gathered for a concert in Red Square. As part of its broader sanctions against Russia, the UK government has imposed an asset freeze and travel bans on Russian officials in the annexed Ukrainian regions of Zaporizhia, Kherson, Donetsk, and Crimea. According to the EU agency in charge, 7 member states have placed orders for ammunition through a historic EU procurement scheme, which will allow for the rapid delivery of much-needed artillery shells to Ukraine and the replenishment of depleted Western stocks. According to a document published on the government website, Vladimir Putin has signed a decree outlining the routine autumn conscription campaign, which will enlist 130,000 citizens for mandatory military service. The Kremlin announced on Friday that Putin had met with former Wagner mercenary commander Andrei Troshev to discuss the use of volunteer fighting units in the conflict in Ukraine. On Friday, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and the heads of 5 Central Asian nations issued a carefully worded statement that did not specifically name Russia but did pledge close cooperation on sanctions. Scholz hosted the leaders of Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, and Tajikistan for the first time in an EU country at their summit in Berlin. On Friday, General Mark Milley, the chairman of the United States Joint Chiefs of Staff, was scheduled to step down from his position. During his time in office, Milley helped the Ukrainian military repel a February 2022 invasion by Russian forces. On Friday, a Russian court sentenced a blogger to 8.5 years in prison for posting fake news about Moscow's offensive in Ukraine. The blogger had previously been jailed for criticizing highway patrol officers. Alexander Nozdranov, 38, maintained a modest YouTube channel where he uploaded footage of highway patrol officers from his native Krasnodar region engaging in illegal activity. A photo he posted to social media in March 2022 with the caption, "Ukrainian cities after the arrival of liberators," prompted police to arrest him. In a move similar to sanctions already imposed by the European Union against Moscow over the war in Ukraine, Norway has announced that it will begin prohibiting the entry of Russian-registered passenger cars beginning next week. Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orbán has said that very difficult questions must be answered before the EU can begin membership talks with Ukraine. According to two senior defense sources speaking with Reuters, Romania is repositioning its air defenses closer to its Danube villages across the river from Ukraine, where Russian drones have been attacking grain facilities.